This video, I'm going to explain the final exam and the pre-installation site survey report. These will be your two final assessments on the actual course and the course material. So underneath module number 7, you will see a folder called the final exam, 50-point and pre-installation site survey. If we click on that, you're going to open up the two assessments. On the bottom, you will have the Broadband Television Service 101 final exam. It is a 50 question multiple choice and true and false, and I do believe you have 2 hours to complete that. These questions are all derived from all the material, either in the review questions or the existing test questions in each one of the modules that you had already taken. Like I said, I think you have 2 hours to complete this. There shouldn't be any new content that you did not already go over or have taken. The other segment of the assessment is our pre-installation site visit scenario. This assessment tool will be taking everything that you have learned in the course and applying that into a report, so a site visit report. And just by going over it, I'm going to touch base on everything that you can look into and so forth. First of all, the scenario is your scenario. I'm just creating, for example, you're a broadband technician. You'll be assessing new customers' needs for cable TV service drop to their residence. So if you already have it dropped to your house, you can use your own scenario. If you have a neighbor or a friend that you want to go do theirs, that's perfectly fine. All the information is up to you on your report. I just want to make sure you are covering the content and the criteria that I have in the rubric set up in your report. So let's just go through this a little bit. Outline number 1, the project background and description. You'll be why you will install a cable TV and a set-top box. So in your report, you're going to say our cable TV service provider offered a new subscription package, and this new customer called up and ordered this subscription. So that's pretty much explains your background and why this service is taking place. Next, material equipment needed for the service order. Okay, in this is this going to be an overhead or underground? Why? What type of cable will you be using? Okay, so throughout your studies, you found out different types of coaxial cables, like for example, RG11 compared to RG6. RG11 is a larger center conductor and can be installed in longer distances for longer drop scenarios. So you just want to incorporate what type of cable you're going to be using. Here we go, the project goals and objectives. How will this installation take place from the head end to the customer HTU? You're going to say our cable plant is already in service in this neighborhood, so we just have to do an installation from our tap, either underground or overhead, drop cable to the customer, and you can take a look at in sketching out the best service route. Include any type of obstacles or issues that might affect you. So I'm just going to bring up this. This is our neighborhood. Here are some of my neighbors. For example, this neighbor here has a swimming pool. He has a fire pit, a utility shed, a fence, and a garden area. So these are all areas that you not provide an underground service. Okay, so if the pole is here, you could do underground this way to get the service to the house. If it's this way, you'd probably have to do some type of aerial service and put the HTU on one other side of the house. And these are all your scenarios. I don't care how you develop and go about your path, but these are things that I want you to be able to understand and figure out why certain situations use overhead or underground services. And this is yours, so you can just make it as easy as possible and as detailed as possible. So keep that in mind. Um, let's see here. Uh, Processes insight, what kind of troubles might incur. Um, this could be problems prior to installation, during installation, or after installation. So you can make up an example. The batteries went dead in the remote control, so we had to go out and fix the batteries, or we had to teach the customer how to use the remote control to get their pay-per-view or video on demand. These are all the different things that you've encountered in your modules that you can put in your report or your scenario. How did we resolve any issues that you encountered, and how did you document your solution? Well, you're going to put this in your installation ticket that it's complete, that the customer is going to sign. If you had to go back out and fix something, your trouble ticket will be signed by the customer. It's going to get put into your database and history of that customer for any future issues or problems that may arise. Results. Follow the installation. What additional features or services will you provide to the customer? Maybe your 800 number to call in if you have any problems, an email, or any extra service that you provided that customer. Maybe you sold them another set-top box to a bedroom or a man cave or out in their garage. Like I said, this is your scenario, this is your report. All I want you to do is to cover the information that's needed to be covered, and you can make up pretty much anything you want. So how is this going to be evaluated? In that document, we have the same pre-installation site survey report, and then we have the competencies that you went through in the course. Here's a grading scale, and then here's the criteria that's being covered. So as long as you're saying, for example, number one, explain the evolution of fiber optic coaxial and IPTV networks. The presentation compares or contrasts HFC and IPTV networks. This is probably going to be your hardest one. All you have to say is this service is providing HFC cable network. The customer will be installed into the tap system. From the tap, there will be a drop cable going to the customer buried using a coaxial cable network. So right there, you just identified that this is a coaxial cable network. We will not be using any type of IPTV network for this situation. So you just identified that area. Here, you're going to tell if it's buried or overhead during your installation sketching or your report. So you just covered those two areas. Explain the outside plant installation. We had to go around the shed because we can't go underneath it. Or we had to use a aerial construction because the backyard has a block patio or a concrete patio with a fire pit. So underground would not be available. So these types of things, identify troubleshooting techniques. During the installation process, we found out that we had a defective F connector when terminating on the cable. So you can be as specific and detailed as possible, but whatever your scenario is, as long as you're hitting on these criterias, you're going to get 100%. All right, and that's about it. If you have any questions, send me an email. Thanks.